What's up, fellas? In the second video of the day, we have to talk about the NBA's Eastern Conference because it makes quite literally zero sense. I'm looking at the standings right now, and I don't get it. It's so weird. There's so many teams that go on, losing streak, winning streak, losing streak, winning streak. The top three is weird. It's bizarre. We just got to talk about the East as a whole in the second video of the day. But really quickly before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, then consider subscribing. I upload twice a day, every single day on the channel, so it's a great place for the most consistent NBA content on YouTube. You can also leave a like rating on the videos as well, and you can check me out at various socials and a Linktree link down in the description below to hang out with me outside each videos. And if you're new here, by the way, what's up? My name is Tucker. With those things said, let's talk about the East. So, coming into this year, there were a handful of things that we kind of felt like we knew about the Eastern Conference. We knew that there were going to be some good teams. We felt relatively confident about Brooklyn, depending on the health of KD and Kyrie at the time, and then obviously James Harden getting traded later on. Philly looked like at least a half interesting team with Doc Rivers being brought in. We knew the Bucks were going to be competitive, and we were kind of looking at some, we thought Boston was going to be good. And we were kind of looking at some other teams like, oh, the Hornets could be a nice story if LaMelo's good. Atlanta's going to be pushing for the playoffs. Chicago, Miami is obviously a team that made the finals last year. Where are they going to be at? Indiana's always consistent. What's Toronto going to be looking like now, 2 years removed from Kawhi being there? And if you had showed someone these standings, be like, yeah, this is where we're going to be at with, a handful of weeks left in the season, they'd look at it and be like, okay, I can't tell you a single storyline from this. It doesn't make any sense, right? So at the top, Philadelphia, they've been awesome. They've been able to weather the storm a little bit with the Joel Embiid injury. They've been awesome defensively. They have two defensive player of the year caliber guys in the roster, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. They've been fantastic. Doc Rivers has done an awesome job coaching those guys up. That makes sense, right? It makes sense for them to be, at the top. If you were told that Joel Embiid was going to be this good, MVP caliber, and for the most part be healthy, just, with the exception of some of the games he's missed recently, makes sense. Brooklyn, if you told them, hey, yeah, they're going to trade for James Harden, okay, cool, makes sense. Milwaukee, 35-20. You knew they were going to be good when they brought in Drew Holiday. Maybe you expected a bit of a better record than that at this point, but still makes sense. Everything else after that is from the Twilight Zone. Makes no sense. The Atlanta Hawks, as of recording this video, are the fourth seed in the Eastern Conference. We've talked about them a couple of times. They've been up and down. Currently, they are up. As I said, fourth seed, but they're just a handful of games, in front of a team like Indiana, who's not even in the normal playoff picture at the moment. But they've been playing better. Atlanta's all the way up at 4. Boston being at 5, 30-26, and currently they've won 5 games in a row to even get themselves to that point. A week and a half ago, Boston was not even in the top 8 somehow, and it's just been such an odd year. Yes, they've had injury stuff. Yes, Kemba struggled at times, but they have just continually struggled to find a group that works on a consistent basis. Again, weird. The 6th seed, the New York Knicks. I had the Knicks on my radar as like a potential interesting team this year. I quite frankly just did not think that they were going to be a postseason team. I just didn't. And they have been a above average, competent NBA team for pretty much the entire season. And it's not a fluke. Tom Thibodeau has coached these guys up to where they're playing hard. Julius Randle made the All-Star team. RJ Barrett's been good. They've managed to weather the storm on a variety of different injury things. They're not a great offensive team, but they compete, they defend, they rebound. And for right now in the East, that's good enough to be a playoff team. Miami at the 7th seed. Pretty weird, right? Amongst a lot of different teams in the league that have struggled with injuries and with protocol stuff, Miami is another team that's kind of right there as well. And they've had moments where it's like, oh, here come the Heat. This is why they made the finals last year. They're looking really, really good. And then now they've lost 3 in a row. They just can never quite get on a roll to really put themselves toward the top of the conference. And I say that, and they are 2 games out of the 4 seed right now, despite the fact they are currently the 7. From 4 on, literally nothing makes sense. I mean, you can look from 4 through 12. Any of those teams could do literally anything the rest of the year, from missing the playoffs to being like the 4 or the 5 seed. It's ridiculous. Okay. 8, Charlotte. They kind of had the dream season initially, right? LaMelo was fantastic initially, right? Rookie of the year. He was going to be the rookie of the year if he was healthy, right? All these other guys kind of came together. Gordon Hayward looked fantastic. Borderline all-star caliber guy. Terry Rozier's having a good season. It's pretty clear that all they had to do was upgrade the 5 spot, and they've got something pretty special brewing in Charlotte. Then LaMelo gets hurt. then Gordon Hayward gets hurt. Now they're trying to hold on desperately to the 8th seed. You can make the argument that they should just fall out of the top 8 and go and get another guy in the draft. They're going to be a team to watch in the future, but I don't think anybody really expected them to be this competent this early. This was the case for the Hayward signing, was to just bring some good vibes to Charlotte and for LaMelo to be good as a rookie and then go from there. Unfortunately, both him and LaMelo both got hurt, but this is clearly the case. 9, Indiana, another team that, like, prior to the year, I was thinking, you know, the East is going to be competitive. You know, you kind of have to pick a couple of teams to drop out from the playoffs last year if you want to be moving teams like Atlanta up into the postseason. And I picked Indiana as a team that could potentially miss the playoffs. And it's happened to this point, but not for the reasons that I thought. They've just had some really difficult injury stuff as of late. They had a good start to the season, and they've just not been able to get into any kind of rhythm lately because of all the injury stuff. And again, another team that's just having a weird season. 10, Toronto, perhaps the most surprisingly bad team of the entire year. I think coming in, we thought it was possible that Toronto would struggle at certain points, but for them to be the 10th seed in the East right now is definitely pretty shocking. Again, just like everybody else, they've dealt with injury stuff, they've dealt with protocol stuff, but it's just, for an organization that has gained so much respect over the last couple of years, it's odd to see them all the way down at the 10th seed. Granted, it might end up being the best thing for them long term. I am hoping Toronto somehow ends up with the top 5 pick in this draft, because I think that would be awesome for them and for their future as they try and figure out what to do with Kyle Lowry. But again, just weird. 11, Chicago, a team that coming into the year we thought, okay, maybe they can make the postseason. Zach LaVine's been awesome. They go out and get Vucevic, which again makes you think, okay, they should be a playoff team. They've struggled since the trade deadline. They are the 11th seed as of now. They certainly have a shot to make the postseason, but they have been disappointing once again. But again, they can absolutely, make the playoffs here still potentially as they try and push for the play-in game. And then the last team that is still like in contention for this play-in stuff is Washington, a team that at times has had a disaster season. At times, the Westbrook Beal thing has not looked good at all. I personally think that Bradley Beal is 100% gone either this offseason or by next trade deadline. And they're still kind of in it as well. And the only 3 completely irrelevant teams in the East as it relates to the playoff picture right now is Cleveland, Orlando, and Detroit. And even then, there have been some good signs. Cleveland, some of their young guys have looked good. Orlando has these future assets now because they traded away half their roster. And, Chicago's trending down, so Orlando could end up with 2 top 10 picks in this class. And Detroit, people, including myself, made fun of the Jeremy Grant signing and signing all these centers and stuff like that. Jeremy Grant has looked really good. Sadiq Bey has looked really good. They haven't gotten a chance to really evaluate Killian Hayes, which is unfortunate. But, still, things could potentially be looking up there in Detroit. And so I say all these things to say, this is arguably the weirdest conference I've ever seen in my entire life. We've had some crazy stuff where a team that you thought was maybe a borderline playoff team shoots all the way up, right? Or in like the beginning of the Giannis stuff when the Bucks really figured it out once Coach Bud, rolled in there. Or it's just some really, really disappointing teams like some past iterations of the Sixers where it's like there's talent here, but it doesn't fit. This is super weird. But you can go and look at every single team in this conference, and there's a weird storyline to be had, right? Philly, outperforming expectations. Joel Embiid is healthy. You could argue, should be the favorites in this conference. Brooklyn, the James Harden stuff has been crazy. They've barely played with their full team this year and they have the second best record and very closely the first best record in the entire Eastern Conference. Milwaukee, I just went through all these, right? Milwaukee, not as good as you thought they would be. It is just weird. Very, very strange. And I'm kind of all for it because outside of those top 3, I have no idea what's going to happen in the postseason. If the season ended today, right, and let's just take the play-in stuff out of the equation for right now. You've got Philly, Charlotte in the first round. You've got Brooklyn, Miami in the first round, which, by the way, is a nightmare scenario. Can Miami please move up? Because I don't want Brooklyn to play them in the first round, please. I don't want any of that. Milwaukee, New York, first round. Again, I kind of don't want to play the Knicks either. I don't know. It's weird because there's teams at the bottom of this conference that like scare me that I don't feel like should, but they definitely do. And then Hawks Celtics in the first round. I'm down for that. That sounds awesome. That sounds fantastic. And so I say all this to say, yes, things are weird. Yes, things are crazy. It's so difficult to evaluate any of these teams outside of the top 3, but I think you could make the argument that is going to create a truly, truly memorable postseason in the Eastern Conference. Once we finally figure out who the top 8 is, once we finally figure out the play-in stuff, there is going to be so much variance in the possible outcomes. There's going to be so many crazy potential storylines. You could see a team go on a run that you wouldn't expect. And you add all that into the fact that there's potential protocol stuff and everything like that. This could be an even more heightened version of what we saw in the bubble last year, where we saw teams make runs. We saw Miami go all the way to the finals. And specifically in the East, there could be some true like March Madness style craziness here, and I'm all for it. That's all I'm saying. And yeah, that is going to be the end of the second video of the day. And thank you guys very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on screen. As I said, you can check out more videos from me twice a day, every single day on this channel, all about the NBA. As I said in the beginning, my name is Tucker. You can leave a like rating on the videos you're enjoying them. Check me out at various socials and a Linktree link down in the description below. Hang out with me outside of these videos. And yeah, let me know down in the comment section below what you guys are looking forward to the most out of the craziness of the Eastern Conference in the postseason this year. And yeah, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your Saturday. And I will see you all next time.